Okay, Dreamwork's How to Train Your Dragon. I wish I could have seen this on a big screen in 3D, because this really does seem like it took full advantage of the 3D effects that it had going for it. This is actually a fairly straightforward sort of movie. Gerard Butler leads essentially a town full of Vikings. His son, Hiccup Horrendous Haddock III, yes, Triple H, who's voiced by the whiny kid from The Sorcerer's Apprentice. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. So essentially, you have these large giant Vikings, and then you kind of have Hiccup, who's this. I'll just say he's kind of like the nerd. In a world full of jocks, he's the guy from The Big Bang Theory. He tries to make contraptions to kind of to allow him to be able to defeat dragons. Being that he's not large, physically powerful, he can't really wield the giant axes, the hammers, the swords, the spears. So initially he captures one during an evening raid through the use of essentially like a bolo cannon. Goes to kill it with a dagger, realizes it's kind of just a baby. And it's terrified of him as he is of it. And then he kind of begins to train it, more or less. And in a way, it's almost like dragons are kind of like giant dogs. He used the techniques that he learned while he's essentially playing and training this dragon to help him out when it comes to his dragon killing training. He's learning weird things about, there's certain spots on their heads that you touch them, they fall down like a regular dog. There are certain, weeds that they like to rub against them because they have like a scratching sensation to them. Certain things that they're afraid of. He uses that to excel in his class. During this time, his dad decides to go and essentially destroy the giant nest of dragons. He gets to the point where, Hiccup is like, you know what? He thinks he's figured out everything that we've known about, that the Vikings know about dragons is entirely wrong. Every dragon, while he's reading the book, is extremely dangerous, kill on sight. And he's like, no, they're really not dangerous at all. They're attacking us because they're raiding us for food so they don't get killed. All of a sudden he realizes there's a giant dragon at the dragon's nest. And if you don't give proper food to this dragon eats you. He mistakenly tells his father this after his father finds out that he's been training a dragon and he can't kill one of his own. He then, of course, launches the massive offensive against what, in D&D terms, would be considered like a beyond epic level dragon. We're talking at least probably like a CR40. And this thing is absolutely monstrous. In D&D terms, it's the Terraskew of dragons. And of course, who has come to save the day? His son. His son, with the help of all the other dragons that they use to train with. Which then kind of leads to this great, almost like utopian society where you have Vikings and the dragons living as one. And I'll be honest, this movie's got some humor to it. They do kind of go a little bit in the kind of like gaming humor with the overweight Viking in training. It's got lots of good action sequences. I can really understand why this movie really made it on some people's top 10 lists, top 20 lists. I wish I saw it last year, but obviously would have made it onto mine. Great special effects, really good story, phenomenal artwork. Again, I wish you could see this in 3D because I'm pretty sure anything with heavy flying sequences would probably look absolutely gorgeous in 3D. With the way this is rendered, everything is done nice and smooth, decent textures for everything. When they show like the Aurora Borealis and clouds and smoke and fire, everything is done phenomenally well. If you've not seen How to Train a Dragon, I definitely, this is probably one of the best animated movies, or actually probably one of the best movies I've actually seen in quite some time. And that's How to Train Your Dragon.